You know what I've always told you in politics, that a day is a long, long time in politics. And it was just yesterday, same time on PM Express, when Haruna Idrisu, the minority leader, was preparing at this time. I was standing here about to introduce him, talking about him, and sitting down with him to speak in his capacity as the minority leader. Just 24 hours on, and he is no longer the minority leader. For all intents and purposes, he is a common floor member on the NDC side. That is one framing of the issue that definitely will leave you just scratching your head. How Haruna Idrisu, a man who, of course, you saw him yesterday, wields a lot of power, a lot of influence, not only in parliament, but in the party, but in his constituency, right now has been stripped of all the power in that house just by a stroke of a pen and a letter to the Speaker of Parliament signed by the General Secretary of the party, Fifi Kwete. So there you have it. There is a reshuffle in the NDC. And this reshuffle left many shocked today because many did not see this coming. We're going to get into the details of this. So if you're just joining us close of day, you just got home and you're wondering, what am I talking about? But I was just watching Haruna Idrisu on your show yesterday. Well, he's no longer the minority leader. This man here, Dr. Kaisel Attoforsen, who you've also seen many, many times on PM Express, is now going to take up the mantle as the minority leader. We'll talk in greater detail about them, and let's do that now. Because we know, we'll talk about Haruna Idrisu himself, about his legacy. I mean, yesterday when he was on the show, he told us what he believed he's done, his achievements in Parliament. I'll come to the achievement of the old block of leaders who have now exited shortly. But Kaisel Attoforsen takes over. Now, we've been speaking to the party. The national chairman of the party, explains why. He says Kaisel Attoforsen is the perfect choice for the time, and emphasis on the time, because the party believes that in the 2024 elections, the economy is going to be the issue. It's going to be the deciding issue around where the elections will be fought. And so they want somebody in Parliament with an economic background. And of course, you know, Dr. Kaisel Attoforsen was a former Deputy Finance Minister, is the party's spokesperson on finance, is a ranking on the Finance Committee, and it comes to this with some gravitas in the area of the economy and finance. As Ketia says, that is one of the primary reasons why they chose him, because they believe that a lot of the fight will be fought in Parliament. Especially we're going through a debt action program. The economy is at a place where Ghana has never been before. We are in uncharted territory. You don't want it in the hands of a lawyer. You want it in the hands of an economist. And that's one of the fundamental reasons why Kaisel was chosen. The second reason Kaisel was chosen, according to Ketia, is because of his constituency and where he hails from in the central region, a region known to be a swing region, one of the kingmaker regions in Ghana. And the party needs that so that the people of the region will feel that the NDC is rewarding their loyalty. And they hope that his ascension to leadership role may sway a bit more people to give the NDC the credit when they go to vote. So those are the two key reasons why he was chosen. And then you come to his able deputy, new one, of course, Ama Kofi Boah, who replaces James Kluchi-Aveji. And I want to tell something like James Kluchi-Aveji. Kluchi-Aveji has announced that he's not going to contest again. He doesn't want to return to Parliament. So this will be his last term. Now, the party says, well, if you are exiting Parliament in the next 2 years, then we want somebody else who will stay in Parliament to represent our interest in Parliament. And that is a reason why they believe they should replace him. So for him, there's no controversy there. But then comes in Ama Kofi Boah, the deputy minority leader, the incoming deputy minority leader. He comes to this with gravitas. He's the longest serving energy minister we've had. He comes from this western region. Now, the party says they also believe that going into the 2020 elections, the question of energy will be important. And so they believe they want somebody there who knows a lot about energy, the energy sector, who, when it comes to it, can stand on the floor and debate and articulate the party's view on the matter. And so they appoint him as a deputy minority leader. But then also, they also want to, through him, reward the Western region, another swing region. So you have two swing regions being rewarded through these appointments by the NDC. And then you come to Kwame Agboja, who is a minority chief whip now. He's the incoming minority chief whip. And he replaces a man who is formidable in Muntaka Mubarak, who is the outgoing minority chief whip. For me, this is one of the most controversial replacement. And don't get me wrong, this is not to say that Kwame Agboja hasn't got the capacity to be a minority chief. I actually believe he can do it. He has the temperament and the characteristics to do this job. But considering that Muntaka Mubarak was the man who literally laid down his life for the party to elect Aban Bagwen in the House. You remember him chasing down a man, another colleague on the floor of Parliament on the 7th, the dawn of the 7th of January, 2020, when 2021, when they were electing the speaker. Somebody grabbed the ballots. He chased him down and ensured that Aban Bagwen was elected historically, by the way. First time a party in opposition has secured that seat, the seat of the Speaker of Parliament. Considering that single achievement alone, you think it's enough to keep him there, but it wasn't enough, right? Here comes in Kwame Agboja. Again, why is the party appointing him? The party explains to us that the reason why Kwame Agboja, he's, by the way, the party spokesperson on transport in the House. The party tells us that they believe infrastructure. The conversations around infrastructure will be key going to the 2024 elections, and they want somebody with that know-how to help them in the House in articulating the party's issues on infrastructure. And that is why he's there. But also because he comes from a region which is the party's World Bank. And so this is a reward for the Volta region. And then you come to Ibrahim Ahmed, first deputy minority whip, who, by the way, comes from the Bono region. Do you know who else comes from the Bono region? He is a certain gentleman called General Mosquito. You know him formally as Johnson Nketia. He is the national chairman of the party, who really, this decision rests solely on his lap, in conjunction with Fifi Kwete and others who have taken the decision. He comes from that region, and they want to reward him. He is the man who caused controversy. He went to Asiru Nketiah's campaign launch when he ran as chairman, and he went to pledge the support of the entire minority caucus. Swiftly, Harun Idrisu issued a statement and saying, he can't do that. The minority caucus is not supporting Asiru Nketiah. In fact, he's not supporting anybody at all. That was controversial. This is a reward, and he's there as first deputy speaker. So he maintains his position. Comfordoyo Ganzakujo, again, is one of them who has been maintained from the old stock. And again, he comes from a Greater Accra region. Asiru Nketiah says Greater Accra region is one of the regions that votes for the NDC. They feel they want to reward him. But again, he's a woman. And so that blend is important. So just explaining to you why they've been appointed. And listen, Case Lacto Forcing is capable. You've heard him argue, standing on his feet. You remember the vote of censure? He was there interrogating, putting forth the party. So he's capable of doing this. So that's why the changes have happened. And it's been called a coup d'etat. But those who disagree with the process because there was a lack of consultation. This is Harun Idrisu, yesterday, mounting a strong defense of his legacy and what he has achieved in Parliament that he believed has earned him a right to be in that particular position. Watch him. And that constituency, if you want to stand there, you need Harun's approval.
Evans, I'm completing my 5th term service to the country, public service, 20 years standing if I get this done. I've had the rare privilege.
20 years?
Yes. As
at the end of this particular term?
Yes. If I complete this, I would have done 20 years in Parliament. I've had a rare privilege to serve the Republic as Minister for Communications My footprints are there.
Employment.
Minister for Trade and Industry, my footprints are there. Minister for Employment, my footprints are there. Even as minority leader, you may like or dislike Haruna. At least I got a speaker elected. I got a budget rejected and installed. I got a Japan rejected. I got a debt exchange which is still struggling to be approved in service of the people.
By the way, this is just 24 hours ago, right here in the studio with me, talking about his achievements. Did he know the morning after this interview, he will be no more as the minority leader? I don't know. But that was a strong pitch to those maybe who were conspiring to get him out last night, about to announce this, to say, I have done some great work in the House. And he mentioned some of them, but let's go through a bit more of what he had done. He mentioned secure the Speaker's appointment, and that was key. He mentions money to reject the 2022 budget. That was key. He mentions the e-levy, which was one significant battle. The finance minister once said that the current economic crisis was because of the fight over the e-levy. And listen, over time, the minority had pushed the government to the point where they've ate humble pie on this, reducing the e-levy rate from 1.75 to 1.5. Now, they blocked government from fully financing the National Cathedral, 80 million budgeted for it. The minority side, under his leadership and that of Muntaka Mubarak, forced the government to withdraw that 80 million, obtained a probe into the COVID-19 expenditure, one that is going to come up and play in the public very soon, dragged the finance minister to the committee to be head on a vote of censure. We've never seen that before, another historic one. They lost that vote, but they set a setting good precedent. Blocked a 250 million loan, and that was placed before Parliament for approval of that loan. Nobody knows what has happened to it, but the minority people fought very hard against it. Blocked the controversial Ejapa saga, which he mentioned. So there you have it, his achievement for you. And then, of course, why the shakeup? I've explained to you already why the Johnson Sudin Ketia believes the time is right, because an election is around the corner. You need to change the people so you can. He said that change the people. You have to change the people for the time. Let them suit the time you're in. And he believes they suit the time you're in. And if you look at the point that he's made fundamentally, he said this is part of a bigger reorganization project within the NDC. He says, well, we've changed everybody. We've changed people at the branch level. We've changed people at the constituency, at the regional level, at the national level. Why not Parliament? And so this, he says, is a completion of the leadership change and the reorganization of the party for 2024. So, and then, of course, here you have it. Economy is a strong suit, as in Dr. Kaysla Toforsin. Energy is a strong suit. Infrastructure is a strong suit. Three areas the party believes will decide the 2024 election. So you see why the party has made a decision. When I return, my guests are joining me, many of them NDC insiders. They'll give me their thoughts on this. But in the end, the NDC want to win the 2024 elections. Primary question, can this group help the party achieve that objective come next year? Stay with me after the break.
As minority leader, they would have allowed me to do an assessment of some of my MPs. Some I need, and I need to keep them. So you see how democratic we are.
As in your primaries?
No.
Okay.
As minority leader, I should have a fair assessment of some of the MPs that the party necessarily must consider returning to Parliament.
Oh, as in your primaries?
Absolutely.
Okay, in your
because this work is about experience.
Any of them you have in mind that you could readily talk about?
I have several. Nelson Dafemepo, Teddy, who has won Ayansuano for long, he didn't. And I may end up mentioning, as minority leader, my first loyalty is to incumbent. I support every incumbent who wants to return back to Parliament.
But the principle
save in a situation where he's so unpopular that the constituents are not likely to accept him. And then there is a category that the party must look at. How can President Mahama win a constituency by 6,000 votes difference? Then the MP survives with 23 or 230 votes. It means the MP is not as popular as he ought to be.
But you believe some MPs, the party must do what they can to maintain them, to retain them, to return them to parliament?
The late Clemson, who used to do some brilliant work for the party when he was alive, he used to call them marginal to win, marginal to lose, safe and secured. I'm sure that the party will engage some brains to do an assessment.
My guest tonight, Member of Parliament, Honourable Cletus Avoka, is MP for Zibila constituency. Also joining me is former Member of Parliament for Tamale Central constituency, Yusuf Hussaini, Dr. Sasante, Senior Political Scientist at University of Ghana Political Science Department. I want to start with you, Mr. Avoka, if it's possible, because you spoke earlier and you believe that the decision is not in the best interest of both the minority caucus and the party. You wanted a reversal. I know you've had some time to reflect. Is there a position you still believe is the right, position for the party to adopt? You still believe a reversal of the decision should be effected by the party?
Very much, Evans, and then good evening to your cherished listeners and viewers. I still hold the same position that the decision to do the reshuffle is untimely, is ill-timed, and it will affect the fortunes of the party in December 2024 if we do not take time to reconcile. I'm saying so against the backdrop that I know that from experience, the national executive and then the flag bearer or president or leader of the party have a discretion to reshuffle. They have the constitutional mandate to reshuffle. But we are deepening our democracy and we are improving our democracy. I know that from 1993, they used to choose leaders for the House without reference to the caucus. We followed that. But for some time, things have been changing. And I thought that once we are deepening democracy, we should also try to improve consensus building and consultation. That was lacking in this one. So my gravamen of the case is not that there was no consultation. My challenge is that the timing is not the best for us as a party. This is the time we are pinning the MPP to the wall. This is the time we are gaining the confidence and support of the totality of the Ghanaian population. And therefore, we needed this unity and focus to be able to drive into the 2024 elections. Now that this has come, it's going to bring about low morale in Parliament. It's going to bring about some type of disaffection. And then in any case, it's diversionary in the sense that instead of focusing on the misdeeds of the MPP so that we can rally the people behind us, we are now going, they are going to divert attention. Social media, the media will divert attention. And for the next 1 week or 2 weeks, they'll be talking about crisis or conflict in the NDC rather than the misdeeds of the MPP. That is why I say that it is unfortunate. Now, Evans, if you look at, I wouldn't have said much, but if you look at the reasons that have been advised by the executive for this action, for this reshuffle, it's difficult with the greater respect to my chairman and secretary that these reasons hold water or hold sway. If we talk about economics, yes, the three gentlemen are very good material in Parliament. I don't doubt that. Atuforsen, Bua, and then Kwame, they are good MPs. I appreciate that. But that is not the crux of the matter. If we say that because Atuforsen has economic background, and therefore the 2024 election will be fought on an economic basis, yes, admitted, that is so. But he doesn't need to be a leader. He's a ranking member of the Finance Committee. He has been doing that work creditably in support of other members of Parliament. And he has been doing this for the past 6 years, not just today. So I don't think that it's the last 2 years that will let our leader in Parliament be somebody who has an economic background, and therefore that will give us a sway. No. Then if that is the argument, then the presidential candidate should be an economist. If that is the argument, and you are going to present a flag bearer, then he must be an economist. And he doesn't need to be. You need to have an economist as a Minister of Finance who can advise him, and then have an economist team, economic management team. We can understand that. So I don't think that the fact that Atuforsin has economic background and Haruna Idrisu may not have it, that is a reason to change him. That is not a good reason.
Okay.
Then swing region. The swing region. Let me just, there are two other swing region. The little said about this, the better. The NDC has favored the central region all these years, from Accra as vice president, then Tamils as president, then Miss Atta as vice president, late Miss Atta, may his soul rest in peace, as vice president, and Nana Jane Jiman as vice president. So we have done enough for the central region. We have kept faith with the central region. Now, what result do we get from there? Even to the extent that the late vice president lost his constituency, and I hear even the polling station. So that swing region, I don't think is the best. Maybe if you look at northern region, there are 5 regions from the north, and they are solid behind Haruna Idrisu. Upper East region had 14 MPs out of 15. We lost only 1 seat. Upper West did the same. Our challenge was northern region, but if you put them together, northeast, Savannah, and then the northern region, they have a good number. So if you sacrifice that, they said a bird in hand, 1 bird in hand is better than several in the bush. If you sacrifice all these 5 regions, and then to stick to 1 region, you claim a swing region, when you are not sure what you will get from that region, I think that is an unfortunate argument.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, he talks about the electoral calendar, the electoral calendar. Yes, we had branch elections, constituency, executive, regional, national, etc. That is a political calendar for the party for the year. What we are going to have now is parliamentary primaries, and then the flag bearer primaries, and then we go to general election. At no time is there a point that reshuffle, parliamentary reshuffle is part of the parliamentary calendar or political calendar of the year. No. We prepare ourselves towards an election. And that is why we had the branch constituency, regional, and national elections. And we are going to have parliamentary primaries, and then we are going to have flag bearer. That is the calendar everybody knows, and they prepare for it. Did Haruna and Co prepare that we are going to have a reshuffle? Did they know about it? So don't add that as an argument, that because all these things we have done them, therefore next is a reshuffle in parliament. That is not part of the argument, with the greater respect to my leadership. I'm saying that my concern, Evans, is that we have been doing very well. Haruna is very affable. He appeals to all sides of the House. In fact, he's admired by the caucus, our minority caucus, and he's a fighter. And he's very humble. His humility, accessible all the time. And he's very philanthropic. These are attributes that Haruna is leading to the 2024 elections. And Muntaka has been very combative and very loyal to the party. If it is in the case of Aveji, yes, I'm leaving Parliament in 2024, he's also going to leave. Then if there was need to say, okay, let's bring somebody from the Volta region, Aveji is leaving, so he has nothing to gain from the constituency. He needs to exit. So let's pick somebody to replace him, and they brought Kwame Abuja to replace him. Admitted. That's cool. Or any other fellow from the Volta region to replace him. Aveji himself will understand that he should be prepared. He's prepared to exit, and he doesn't need to stress himself or even look for votes. So let's get somebody from the Volta region who will replace as deputy minority leader.
So obviously you disagree with the position, the decision of the party. I want to bring in Musa Fuseni. Musa Fuseni, do you agree with that view expressed there by your colleague and friend, Mr. Cletus Avoka?
All right, well, good evening to you, Evans, and good evening to my colleagues. Unfortunately, I am unable to agree with Honorable Cletus Avoka. Unable to agree with him because essentially everybody comes to Parliament as a member of Parliament. Now, when you get into Parliament, the face of the party is represented by the leadership of the party. That is why the standing orders defines a minority leader as the the member of parliament from the party with the largest numerical strength other than the party forming government designated by the party. So the designation of a minority leader is by the party. Now, our party has decided that in order to prosecute the 2024 elections successfully, in order to ensure that Parliament becomes the battlefield for the 2024 elections, we need to strategically reposition the leadership of the party. And in fact, from 1993, I joined Parliament in 2006. The party has always taken the responsibility of determining the leadership of the party seriously, very seriously. In 2001, the current speaker had never occupied a front bench role in the party. The highest he had attained was the chairman of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. The party decided that he was the person best suited to lead the party in parliament in opposition. And we saw how Bogdan performed. So it's the discretion of the party. It's at the discretion of the party. I respect the decision. We want to win power. People talk about the minority leader. Admittedly, he's done well. He served the country very well. He served the party very well. Started as a youth organizer and rose to become a cabinet minister and a minority leader. Clearly, he served the party well. But the party at this time thinks that the way to go into 2024 elections is to put our best foot forward. And in their view, the best foot forward is to reorganize the leadership of the party in parliament. It should not lead to divisions in parliament. It should not. If you understand that that is a party position, it should not lead to division in parliament. The minority leader holds an office recognized by the party as one of the offices of the party. And so I don't see how that can lead to division. In any case, when Honorable Haruna Idrisu and his team were the leadership, or when Cletus Avoka was the majority leader of the party, he expected and got total support from the membership of the party who were sitting behind him. Total support. Because the individual interests of members of the party must be subsumed under the collective interest of the party. Subsumed. In fact, a member of a party risks disciplinary action if it goes against the interest of the party. And the interest of the party presently is to realign the strategic interest of the party with the leadership of parliament. And we need to understand that and work with it. And I expect that the new leaders will work hard.
Yeah, Mr. Fuseni, I was making a point, but that interest of the party, must be expressed democratically. The concern is that this is not the case in this particular appointment the set of appointment that has been made. In fact, Murtala Mohammed described this as an imposition.
An imposition. I mean, I have said that, well, maybe I stand to be corrected. Nowhere in our party's constitution And nowhere in the standing orders of Parliament is it provided the members of Parliament from the various parties elect their leaders. Nowhere is it provided. And I am aware of past practices of the party as regards the choice of leadership for the party in Parliament. All I will say, and what I see missing in this particular case, is that in 2017, when the party decided that Haruna Idrisu, Veji, Muntaka, Ahmed, Doyu were to be our leaders, they came to Parliament and informed us that this was the decision of the party.
There was no
I was there.
consultation. There was no consultation
The
prior.
argument
There was no consultations prior with the minority caucus.
prior, no, there was no prior. There was no consultation. I'm not aware of any consultation prior to that. I remember clearly and distinctly that when they made that announcement to us, when they informed us, I asked a question as to why we were not allowed to be part of the decision-making process. I remember Agaraga saying clearly that we are not school children for anybody to impose leaders on us. When Dominic Ayeni asked how the consultation was done, the General Secretary then, who is now the chairman, answered that the regional caucus chairmen were those who were consulted. I was a regional caucus chairman then, but I was not consulted. And so maybe going forward, what I think should be done is when the party takes a decision after consultation with stakeholders, because Parliament is a critical block and they need the buy-in, the total support. This negative energy that is flowing amongst members of Parliament and amongst party ought to be channeled to positive energy. We ought to have been celebrating this instead of tearing each other apart and questioning the decision of Parliament. We ought to have been celebrating it. And I think that the opportunity to celebrate same has been lost because Parliament's buy-in, our members of Parliament's buy-in was not secured before the announcement.
Yeah.
In 2017, how the buy-in was secured was that we were informed ahead of time that this was the decision of the party. So I will just advise.
Once.
Yeah, I mean, so that clearly is, as you've noted, is possibly one of the areas in this whole announcement that could have been improved. I noticed. I'll come back to you, Ms. Avoka, for I know you have a lot to say on this, but I want to quickly bring Dr. Asah-Asante. Doc, you are the outsider here, a political scientist watching and listening to the insiders on what has happened. What's your take, first of all, the procedure for the announcement and the process towards the outdooring of the new names has become an issue. Could that be an issue? Because the individuals who have been appointed will need legitimacy. They will have to work with the minority MPP and NDC MPs. If they don't have their support, this is going to be a very difficult time for them in Parliament. Hello, Dr. Asah-Asante. Okay, I believe we have a freeze on his feed to us. Hello, Dr. Asah-Asante. Okay, let's try and see if we can fix that. But in the meantime, let me go back to Mr. Clayton. Mr. Avoka, you wanted to respond to the points that your colleague just made. Yes.
My very good friend and brother, Honorable Inusa Fuseni, raised some 3 issues that I want to comment on them because I have my reservations. The first one is the fact that reshuffle is the discretion of the party. And I agree with him entirely that it is the discretion of the party. The point I'm making, or many of us are making, is the timing of the reshuffle. You have a discretion, And that discretion must be exercised in such a way that it doesn't have any negative impact on the party, particularly when we are faced with a tough election in 2 years' time. That is the issue we are raising. We are saying we are not saying that they have no right. I would say they have a right, but the timing is unfortunate. And if they had done some minor consultation, the second point, then like he himself conceded, if they had done some engagement of some sort, then this agreement would not have arisen. That's number one. Number two, he talks about the indispensability. Yes, he talks about the constitution of the country and the party. Immediately, yes, they give discretion to the party. But in the same constitution, he talk about, they have not said that there is no need for consultation. You don't need to write everything in the constitution. Certain things are inherent. Consultation and consensus building are inherent weapons in a democratic dispensation. Consensus building and consultation are democratic essentials. You don't need to put this in the constitution that before the national executive do this, then they must consult this, do this. That is inherent, which is lacking here. So that is what we are saying. Nobody is indispensable. Haruna and then the two others are not indispensable. In any case, people were there before they came to take over. So we are talking about the timing, that this is the time that we are galvanizing our arsenal against the MPP for 2024. Why do you rock the boat? You are in opposition, you don't have the resources, you don't have the time, you don't have the energy. Let's focus rather than at this late hour, rock the boat. This is what we are saying, that the timing is uncalled for. That a lot of consideration was not taken into, was not thought through. And then that is why the reshuffle came. But you see, there are events I have gone through. I was appointed from Minister of Interior to Parliament as a majority leader.
Yes.
And he talked about 2017. Now, if we had ended 2024 elections, and then in 2025, they are appointed, we happen to win, and then they are appointed minister and whatnot, and Haruna and Co are not mentioned, nobody will complain. It happened to me. I was majority leader that led the party to victory in 2012. In 2013, I was not made a minister or anything. Nobody raised a hue and cry about that. Nobody did. Now, so when you come to the end of the season, the political year, elections are done and you make changes, nobody complains. If that had been the case, nobody would have been talking. Now, I was plucked in 2010 from Interior Ministry to come to Parliament and be the leader. And there were sound reasons, and nobody raised query. Late Atamis called me to his office and said that, look, the leadership in Parliament had become rebellious. That was the time back when he was minority leader. He had become majority leader. John Tier was his deputy. Now Evans Mensah. He said that they claim that they have been in the minority leadership for 8 years, 2001 to 2008. And they were tired of the House. So they also wanted to test executive power. So because of that, they had lost focus. And he wanted me to go as an experienced parliamentarian to hold the House for him. So when I got there, and back when we were made Minister for Works and Housing, Evans Mensah was sent to mobilization, employment and social welfare, and John Tier wanted information. So the Koko were happy that their leader were being promoted or were given executive positions. This is not the scenario here. And you talk about 2017. 2017, there was end of the year. We had elections in 2016, and then we had left government. We were going into minority, and we were going to form a new government.
So clearly, for you, the timing is a major thing. Let me bring in Dr. Asante, who just joined us again. Doc, apologies, we lost you briefly there. I mean, where do you stand on this? There are a few things that clearly he's dividing, the views within the NDC, the timing, and then the individuals appointed, and the reasons assigned to it. And then key is the process that had been used in the appointment, which is lack of consultation. Many have seen this as an imposition. From where you sit, if you take those four issues, starting with the process, do you agree the process should have been better, should have been more consultative? Hello, Dr. Asante. Okay. Unfortunately, we're having, because he was on a short while ago. Hello, Dr. Asante. Okay. So this is where we are with the issue. I mean, we've had the two sides on this. Let me get Inus Hussaini into this. So, Inus Hussaini, there is a real problem here, is it not? Because Not just Mr. Avoka, but Murtala Mohammed. And again, if you check with the ranks of the NDC on their many platforms, there are many, many more who hold the view that this is an imposition. In fact, there are views among the NDC minority that the new leaders should turn down the appointment and ask the party to go and consult. And if you don't do that, they are going to face a minority side that will not cooperate with them. That is a real threat for the NDC going to 2024 elections, is it not, Mr. Yunus Afuseni?
I will be shocked if the members of parliament issue such threats. Because a member of parliament who rise to parliament on the ticket of the NDC is enjoined by the constitution of the party not to act in a way that brings the party into disrepute. So I'll be surprised. Two, Honorable Avoka seems to suggest that the timing is bad and they ought to have been better timing than this time. He concedes that the discretion is vested in the party to reshuffle. But we all know, and he's a senior advocate, that where a discretion is vested in an authority, you cannot tell the authority how to exercise that discretion. You can't. So that discretion is vested in that authority. And so that discretion has to be exercised. Except that the Constitution, Article 296 or so, says it must be exercised candidly and fairly. But that discretion is that discretion. And you ask, so if this is not a better time to do that, when is the better time?
He says after the elections, after the elections in 2022, yeah. In 2025 January, before the swearing in, you can make the changes.
Oh, so if the party thinks, believes, and feels that they need to be able to inject some dynamism into the leadership of the party in parliament, is it the case that the party should be constrained from injecting dynamism into the party in parliament because it's not 2025? Is that the case? Are we further suggesting that where leaders emerge in parliament, the party is extopped from reshuffling the leaders after their emergence? Is that the argument? I don't think that is what the argument should be. The argument ought to be, at what point in time should a decision of the party impact the leadership of parliament in such a way as to advance the interests of the party? That should be the order. The interrogation now should be, how will this decision impact our determination to recapture power in 2025? That should be that decision.
Okay.
I mean, I understand that this decision, because of longevity, I mean, you can argue that there have been, to some extent, personalization of the offices, because most people see the minority leader in the person of Haruna because of longevity, or the chief whip in the person of Muntaka because of longevity. So obviously, passion will be bruised, or egos will be bruised, and passions will flare. Emotions clearly will be the order of the day because people will not simply understand. But in all this milieu, in all the confusion, in all the complaints, the fundamental question to ask is how does this advance the interests of the party? How do we work with the decision of Parliament, with the decision of the party to advance the interests of the party?
Yeah, I mean, you make you make an important point. Overall, this must lead to a victory for the NDC in the 2024 election. That's what it comes down to. I want to put that question to Asa Asante briefly because he's joined us on phone. Tragically, we couldn't get him on a better connection on Zoom. Mr. Asante, to that question, we don't have much time, and apologies because of the bad connection to you. Is this the crop of leaders who can deliver victory for the NDC come next year? In Parliament, a crop of leaders in Parliament who can deliver the victory for the NDC come next year?
I have no doubt in my mind that they are material worth considering. You have listened to some of the minority members, and those who have spoken. They have no doubt that these people have what it takes to be in office and then lead the charge for 2024. What is important that having put them in this position, they need to work together and then bring everybody on board so that they can fight ahead. That is the crux of the matter. Let us also be put on record that nobody owns any position in any party. At a point in time, the party decides who should lead. People came and occupied this position. In the same manner, people will leave. So when there is change, even though I admit that consensus is critical, that the decision that they took without informing members of Parliament is unfortunate. But that aside, we should remember that the party has business, and its business is that they want to do everything possible to wrest power from the MPP. So if that is the goal, all of them, unless, of course, they have their views or their goals are at variance with that of the party. But that is not what I am thinking. I believe that they also are fighting for a common goal of what winning power. Then they must put their acts together and support those in office and then prosecute the agenda of 2024.
Dr. Asante, thank you very much. Mr. Kletzes, I'm grateful and always a delight to talk to you. I've missed the conversations that we used to have when you used to be the Interior Minister. And Inusaf Hussein is always a delight when he joins me. I'm going to be tapping into all your experiences as far as the political landscape is concerned as we approach the 2024 elections. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.